All right, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Not sure if anyone has watched that movie. To everyone, thank you for joining the webinar with Function Point and Jelly Marketing. So my name is Jimmy Wu. Right now, it is 10 a.m. Pacific, but I do see a lot of straddlers just rolling in. So let's give it one more minute for people to just join and enjoy themselves. If you need to refill your coffee or tea or water, feel free to do so, but we're gonna get started within the next 30 seconds. All right. So should I try playing a Jeopardy music, Danielle? What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I am a terrible singer, just so you know. But
I'm not amazing either.
karaoke is a thing. I know there's lots of people who love it though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's get started then. It is 10:02, so let's get started. So welcome Danielle. It's very nice to have you here today. I'm really excited.
Thanks, Jimmy. I'm excited to be here too.
All right. Well, so today, welcome everyone. We are going to be talking all about client management, whether it's tackling how do we grow your clients, how do we ensure we retain our customers, and more importantly, how do we set the right expectation with our customers, which is always in my opinion, the hardest thing. But before we go, let's talk about the agenda real quick. So we'll talk about, and today we'll talk about how we can start off on the right foot with customers, how we can manage their expectations, how do we predict and understand and prevent them client churn. We'll talk a little bit about over-servicing as well, and of course about client relations and the revenue. So just so you know who we are, so my name is Jimmy Wu. I am the Director of Sales and Marketing here at Function Point. I've been in the agency space. I used to be a project manager for an agency for about 5 years and then decided not very good at it, so decided to go into sales and marketing instead, working with agents. But I did enjoy the space, so I'm now working with agencies a lot. But Danielle, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. My name is Danielle. I've been in marketing for close to 15 years now, and I've kind of come at it from a lot of different angles. I started off as a freelancer. I've worked for a nonprofit organization. I've worked on an in-house marketing team and doing brand management. And I've also had a couple of experiences in the UK and in Canada working for marketing agencies. And of course, now I'm at Jelly Digital Marketing and PR. We are in Fort Langley, BC, just outside of Vancouver, and we are a full service marketing and PR agency.
Awesome. That is a beautiful city, by the way, that you live in. Well, welcome, and thank you for taking the time, and we're really glad to have you here today. And I heard also a rumor that you are also an instructor in one of the Jelly Academy account management courses. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, at Jelly Academy, we offer a ton of different things. So we offer different programs for people who want to get into marketing so that you can get your certifications and learn more about SEO and digital ads and all different things. But one thing that we offer that's most relevant for today is we have a new account management course. So just walking through some of the different things that you can expect and to help you learn how to be a great account manager, whether it's something that you are striving towards wanting to do in the future, some project management work, or whether you're maybe a new account or project manager within an agency and you're just looking to up your skills a little bit more.
Okay, awesome. And with the Function Point partnership with Jelly Academy, there is a discount code if you are interested, but take a look. We'll share the slide deck with everyone so that you have it. Couple housekeepings. We will send over this recording as well to everyone. In your GoToMeeting control panel, there is a questions tab on the right. So if throughout the webinar, if you do have any questions, feel free to type it in, and I'll definitely direct your questions to Danielle throughout the webinar. Yeah, thank you. So let's get into it, the main thing. So tell us a little bit more about, like, with your vast experience, how would you start off on the right foot with your customers?
I think setting clear boundaries about processes and expectations right from the start is the best thing that you can do to just get off on the right foot and establish a successful client and account manager partnership. Drawing on my experience here at Jelly, everything that we do is very process driven. Over the years, we've kind of seen it all when it comes to types of clients, not just the type of business that they have, but the way that they communicate and the types of challenges that can come up. And that has led us to be able to develop our processes to prepare for most eventualities and things that we can expect to happen. Because we're very process driven, we're also very consistent. So that means that the service that you receive from one of our account managers should be virtually identical to what you receive from somebody else. So we operate on the principle of if I won the lottery tomorrow and I disappeared, you'd be able to be moved over to a new account manager, and you would get a virtually seamless transition and carrying on of your work. So from our sales process and our initial communication right through to getting your projects and stuff started, we have a kickoff call and a weekly workflow, and we just follow these set practices to help take the mystery out of working with us. And we find that just being very clear about that from the start and about clear communication is kind of the best way to get off on the right foot with our clients.
Now, I'm curious with the process, because a common thing agencies always say is we're totally different. We do so many different type of jobs, whether it's fixed fee, our retainers are completely different. The size of the projects is also varies from, a $500 estimate to a $100,000 huge campaign. So curious, is that process that you're describing different for various type of work that you do? Is there a difference?
For us, there's not really a ton of difference in the way that we deal with our clients and the way that we communicate with them and handle the process of working with them internally. Some clients are going to come to us, they've got one specific project, it's on a preset budget, and we know we're going to do the thing, whatever the thing is, it's going to come to an end, and we're going to wrap that project up, and the client is going to go on their way. And then we also have lots of clients who work with us on retainer, and it can just carry on and on and on, ideally for many, many years. But we use the same onboarding processes. Of course, the conversation might be a little bit different within that. We use the same project management tools and check-in processes and things like that along the way, so that you always know what to expect with Jelly.
Okay, awesome. So it sounds like the process is the same, and that way it really keeps the expectations clear across, and maybe not just the client, sounds like also for your internal teams as well.
Yes, yeah, with our series of, we've got several coordinators as well in the office, of course, who help us to execute different strategies towards our client goals. So regardless of the nature of the project, that workflow is also the same for them, coming from our partners to account managers, and then from account managers down to our coordinators.
That's awesome that you guys keep it clear all the time. So maybe let's jump to client expectations. So with the process set up, how do you ensure, client expected, because we talked about overservicing all the time, demanding clients, that I think we've heard it all in our industry. So what are your approach, and what do you do to help with that?
I think the number one thing, and it totally sounds so obvious, but I really can't emphasize it enough, is clear communication right from the start, outlining exactly how we work, telling the clients this is what you can expect from me on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, helps to manage their expectations right from the start. For example, our clients receive a detailed outline of the services that they've contracted for, and then when we have our account management kickoff call, we review each of those together and we can answer any questions they have and expand on what they include and what they don't include. We also expect that sometimes clients are going to have requests that are outside of scope. And so we'll let them know if something is really outside of scope, kindly but firmly. We do have those boundaries in place. But then we offer solutions, such as a quote to provide the service or an idea of how they could get that result themselves if it's not within their budget to hire us for something more. We tend to kind of under promise and over deliver. We know that we're going to do more for our clients than worrying about pinching every minute of time or anything for them. If we do a little bit extra, that's fine. But we don't say things like, I'll have it for you in an hour, unless we know it's going to take us 5 minutes, and we'll probably actually have it to them in 10 minutes. We tend to give time estimates, but say, by tomorrow or early next week, because we know we've also got to communicate with our coordinators who are managing all these different projects and everything before we can take a finished thing and get it back to our client. We try to warn clients in advance of things like staff absences when possible as well, to plan for services that they require. And then Jimmy, we do something that we like to call a to-do as opposed to a to-do task for a client. So if a client needs a little extra of something, but it's maybe just a one-off, or we really want to nurture the relationship with that client, we might do a little extra for them, like do a couple of social media graphics or help them out with something that's slightly outside of scope. But we frame it as such. So we explain kindly that we'll do this time for you, but it's normally something that you would have to pay for an extra fee for. And we're just very clear about, we're happy to help you out with this, but normally going forward, it would cost extra.
Okay, and you call those tadas?
Ta-das, yeah.
Tadas. Oh, I like that. I like that. Because that's cool. Because it's kind of like it's all. It sounds way more fun, I think, for something that's like a difficult conversation. You're like kind of putting a good spin to it. Like, oh, and it's catchy too. So they know to do is part of within the scope. Tadas, you're doing me a favor, and that expectation is really clear, and you can always. And it's so. I really like that. I think that's a good way to play on with it. Now, I am curious because a lot of times with under promise, over deliver is always easier said than done.
Absolutely.
And as an accounts person, you're looking to drive revenue, and sometimes under promising does not help with that. So I guess I'm curious to understand, how do you balance, as an accounts person, how do you balance that a little bit?
What we try to do is really make sure, of course, that we are fulfilling the services that they've hired us for, but just try to deliver things a little bit sooner, or give them, a little bit of an extra here and there that they're not expecting. We want to keep them happy. We want to suggest, more services and things like that, but we also want to make sure that we're managing expectations, and we're never saying things like, I'll definitely have this to you, it's going to be completely finished, I'll have it to you by tomorrow. If we know that there's components in play that we may not be able to 100% control that situation. You don't want to let them.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I think I like what you said before, where you're just doing like one extra social media, and then it's like, hey, we finished this, ta-da, here's another little snippet that we did for you as well. I think that would be really nice. Yeah. So client churn, I think in this state of the economy today, a lot of focus is really talking about how do we keep what we have and grow those. So maybe help us understand kind of, how do you approach and prevent client churn?
It can be somewhat unpredictable, but first of all, we understand and we accept that client churn does happen. We love getting new clients, of course. It's always exciting to get a new client, a new project to be able to work on, but it's so valuable to maintain relationships with clients that we've had for several years, and it's just very consistent. We've developed those relationships with them. But we recognize that sometimes clients need to leave for a variety of different reasons, and maybe there's nothing that we can do to save that situation. But experience has shown us that there are often some early indicators that a client may be leaving us, and sometimes there are even things that we can do to prevent it. So we try to be quite proactive, first of all, with services. So if a client really has their heart set on a service, we're going to provide it to them. If we notice after a while, this is really not working, it's not getting them any results, and it's not for lack of, trying and giving them extras and doing the best that we can, we'll have a very honest conversation with them about, maybe this isn't the right service to help you with your marketing at this time. And here are the reasons why we think it's maybe not working as well as we had hoped. But here's something that we could maybe try instead, and then we'll give them the rationale for why. A great one for this is clients with brand new businesses, very low social media following, brand new websites, and then they want digital ads. So we'll do a digital ads campaign for them, and then they don't understand why, products aren't just flying off the shelves, right? They're not making hundreds of dollars a day right away. And sometimes it's not because ads aren't great, and it's not because they don't have a great product. It's just, it takes time, right? It takes time to do that learning with the ads, and it also takes time to get people familiar with a brand and a product they've never heard of before. So we might suggest switching to do something else like some SEO or maybe some social media or PR work instead for a while, and then suggest that we try ads maybe in 6 months or something like that. So we're very proactive with that. Another situation we know where we might have a potential for churn is if we have what we call a new guard situation. So whoever manages the marketing relationship for that brand, that client that we're working with, if they have a turnover on their team and we see a new person comes in, we anticipate that there's a potential for churn, because a lot of time people like to come in, they like to reevaluate everything that their predecessor was doing and kind of put their stamp on it. But what we try to do is come alongside those people right from the start and let them know that we want to set them up for success. And we want to convert them to being an ally instead of them feeling like they need to clean house and hire a new agency just to kind of prove themselves, or prove that they're getting something done. And that's often, sometimes you just can't do anything about it, and they're going to turn over, but it often does work. We also love collaboration, and that's a huge one as well. Working with an in-house team, doing some aspects of the marketing, and Jelly doing some aspects of the marketing, and really communicating we want to work together on them. It doesn't have to be you hire us to do everything or nothing, that we would love to partner with your team and all work together.
I find it interesting how you're talking about communicating with the customers a lot, making sure set the right expectation, but collaboration. So I like the collaboration part because it makes it feel like, oh yeah, they're part of the solution. They came up with the idea together with you, and then they're way more bought in when that happens. I am curious though, you said there's usually early indicators though, when they start becoming a detractor. How often do you communicate, or are there specific questions or cadence that you set up to help you catch those early indicators?
Yes, definitely. As we're getting tasks done for a client, of course, if anything is, when something is ready for them that they needs their review, or if there's something time sensitive, then we just reach out to them right away to get approvals and things like that. But also as account managers, we check in with our clients every week. Typically on a Friday, we write our weekly check-in messages, and we'll give them a few notes on like, here's what we accomplished for you this week. Here's what our focus is going to be next week. And maybe here's a couple of questions. And then we also give them some of their KPIs for how things are performing for the week. And we're very transparent about that. So if the KPIs are not looking so great this week, then we say, hey, you know what? Your ads didn't perform very well this week. Here's what we're going to try for next week, or here's what we think we should maybe just keep an eye on. And we're just very transparent. And then in addition to those weekly check-ins, we also do a monthly report, of course, of how everything is going and all of those KPIs. But our clients know that they can also reach out to us anytime if they have questions or anything. Their account manager, I always say, I'm your person. If you need anything, if you have a question, you call me. I'm here for you. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like the fact that every time as you're talking about challenges that customers have, you always offer like a solution to it. I felt like that's an important part of your process, and I think that really helps with that. So, yes. So maybe tell us some of the strategies then that you actually do the for client churn.
Hmm. So just being very thorough and consistent, of course, with that onboarding process, sets expectations up from the start and typically helps us to maintain a client relationship for a longer period of time. We also love to educate our clients so we can empower them and really leave them with a sense that we're not just saying, hey, we're going to do your marketing. You don't understand what's going on here, but just trust us. Everything's fine. We like to educate and bring them on board so that they feel really involved. So, some clients just want us to do the work and then send them a message on Friday and let them know how it's going. And if something's bad, they'll let us know they want to chat. But some clients really like to connect more. So I've got a few that I will have a short weekly 15-minute Zoom call with them. And we'll just jump on, usually it's not even 15 minutes, and say, how's it going? What's on your mind this week? Or, hey, you know what? We noticed this thing in your SEO. Do you want to know what this is and how you can be involved in helping this? Like, why don't you write a blog and then we're going to optimize it for you? Or just really getting that buy-in that we're working on it together. We also ask for feedback all the time, and we want honest feedback, and our clients know that they can be very open with us. They can communicate if they're having anxiety about something or if they're feeling uncertain, and we want to talk that through with them.
You mentioned about just having a 15-minute phone conversation with them. Is that part of your regular kind of meeting, or is it like you picking up the phone and calling them?
It is typically something for clients that we think would benefit from that. We'll suggest it to them.
Okay.
So I've got a couple of clients that, they're just so busy. I know they don't always get a chance to read the weekly check-in message or the monthly report, even though they do care. And sometimes it's not so, easy to get them to sit down and write a big email response or something, but I'll suggest to them, how about a 5 or 10-minute phone call once every other week, just to quickly check in, and then I'm going to call you on, Tuesday at 9 a.m. or whatever it is, and say, hey, John, how's it going? This is what we're working on this week. Is there anything on your mind, anything you need from us? And sometimes it's, no, we're really good, we're happy, but thanks for checking in. And sometimes they say, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about this thing. So yeah, just to let them know. And we set up an established time so that they know, I have my call with Danielle this day at this time.
Wow, I really like that personal side of things because you're really tailoring the channel of how you communicate with the customers. You're really understanding kind of how they like to communicate and tailoring it to that perspective. Especially, I think all of us can relate to the fact that you probably have 50 unread emails right now in your
Oh
inbox too, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about over servicing. I think in our industry report, when we asked agencies, hey, how do you typically over service? It's like
Yes.
3/4 said yes, yes. And the other quarter probably just doesn't want to admit it that they over service. But curious though, this is a big challenge all the time for any agency. What are some of the ways that you recommend to help reduce that?
Yes. So number one, we always, part of our culture at Jelly is that we would prefer to slightly over service a client rather than be very, very stringent on the time. So we set time frames around, X amount of hours for digital ads work or X amount of hours for SEO work each month, but not from a perspective of I'm going to keep track of that time. And if I get to 3 hours and 59 minutes of your 4 hours of SEO this month, I'm not going to say, sorry, I'm not available to you for this month. We used up your SEO time. You have to wait till next month. We use it more just as a way to plan for capacity for our team so that we know, this is X amount of work that they have to do. And of course, we know how many hours a week our team members are working. So we can make sure that we're not overloading any one team member with too many hours of work throughout the month. So that's more what we use that time frame for, not to be stringent with clients. But to make sure that we don't go way too overboard with our over servicing, we do set those expectations and boundaries right from the start, and we keep an eye on things. So if there's a little bit of extra work that gets done, we spent a little more time or did a few to-dos this month, no big deal. But if a client is expecting a lot more and it's ending up taking, considerable amount more time, or they're taking, 3 times as much account management time as what you would normally expect, then we can just have a conversation with them about, things that we could do to maybe kind of just keep an eye on that. Like, do they just want that amount of time and they actually want to pay a little bit more to have more face time with their account manager? Or what can we do to make sure that they're getting the information that they need to feel reassured and everything throughout the month, and knowing what's going on, but without, taking up so much time. And we'll also put limits on things like how many numbers of reviews or edits we're going to make on things, so that they know, like, don't send me 5 emails, one with each edit request in it. Like, think about what you want us to change and then send them over first, and you'll get 3, chances of that before it's either a finished product or maybe an extra charge. So yeah.
One thing I find interesting, you said at Jelly,
Mhm.
you do allow for overservicing to a certain degree.
Yes.
So is there a measurement? Do you set a boundary? Like, is it 10%? Is it 5%? Or how do you determine that and balance that between customer satisfaction versus profitability?
We tend to judge it based on how the account manager is reading the situation. And then we'll communicate that to our senior partners and let them know if we have a client that is, we have a sense they're taking way more time than what this needs, and ask for advice on what to do. So we give them that little bit of flexibility with, not sticking to those certain amount of hours, but also we try to monitor that scope creep a bit, because we know that if it's not managed at all, it can really cause stress and imbalance with our coordinators and with the rest of our team. And then other clients can suffer too as a result.
Okay. So it sounds like the communication is not just with the customer, but internally with your team. If you
Always.
need, it sounds like if you feel like this is an important account, you want to keep it, let the partners know and they can help with the decision making. Awesome. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Uh, so revenue, so growing, a common theme, I guess, is it's always easier to keep your customers and grow them than try to find a new one.
Yeah.
So what are some the approaches that you have at Jelly from your other experiences to help with that?
At Jelly, everything that we do is guided by our core values. And for us, this isn't just a series of nice ideas that, in practice, nobody really pays attention to, or, cheesy motivational posters on the wall. But we have a very carefully thought out set of core values, and we actively work them into our workday with our clients and how we relate to each other. It's something that we, in all aspects of our teams, will recognize each other when we're demonstrating these values. So prudence, courage, temperance, fairness, and humility. And we keep those in mind through everything that we do. And that allows us to just have really authentic relationships with each other and also with our clients. By making sure, for example, temperance, where we go the extra mile a little bit, but we also, make sure that we're not just doing more all the time for the sake of doing it. We're very, very honest and transparent, so we do that regular reporting. We have open communication. We're very accountable for everything that we've done. We don't hesitate to say to a client if something isn't working, and be honest about that and offer a solution. And then we do, and this is one of my favorite things, account managers at Jelly have what we call a client love budget. So we have a little bit of, discretionary spending that we can do little things to let our clients know that we really care about them and appreciate them. So just making sure that, if a client has a baby, we're sending flowers. Or if we see a book and we think, hey, you know what, I bet Michelle at this company would probably really love to read that book because of a conversation we had, that we have some flexibility to just, pick that book up and send it to her and say, hey, I was thinking of you and I thought you might like this. Drop by their office and bring them some treats or something like that. So yeah, just to let them know that we care about them.
So when you start a project with a client, you actually have a bucket on purpose, one on the job budget to give them these little goodies
Yes,
at
yeah,
at your discretion.
yes, absolutely, yeah.
Really cool. That's really cool. I think so. For example, I could if you were my client, then I can go, oh, I just realized Danielle is a big fantasy novel fan, and I should maybe buy a set of books, fantasy books for you to read.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. We can do things like that. Or we had a client who's a lawyer who got a significant recognition from the Law Society. So we sent her some flowers. Or we have a client who just opened a new cafe. It's a small cafe. So we thought the best thing we could do to support her is bring her a bunch of business. So we had a whole bunch of people from Jelly came by and we bought cupcakes and drinks and things like that so that we were supporting what her new venture was. So yeah, we
Yeah.
can demonstrate that love in a lot of different ways, but just let them know that we actually care about them and who they are.
Yeah. And that really builds that personal relationship outside of work too, right? So
Yes.
that you really know them, you care about them. So
Yeah.
I love that idea. I love that idea. That's really cool.
So
Maybe talk to us about the reporting and accountability and how would you utilize that to help manage your client and make business decisions?
So we do reporting on a weekly and monthly basis, and of course we're monitoring all the usual KPIs that you would expect for search engine optimization, your website traffic, your digital ads performance, everything like that. So first of all, our digital ads team, they report to the account managers and to our partners every week on, here's a rundown of, the clients that I'm currently working on, and here's how, a couple of highlights of how their ads have been performing this week. And here are a couple of things that we would like to suggest that should be fixed. So we can then action those with our team, but then we can also take the stats and we can report to our clients and say, hey, you know what? We're noticing X, Y, and Z is happening. Either, this is really amazing, your ads are doing so well, or we've noticed that this is underperforming. And so here's what we're going to try, and I'll let you know next week or in 2 weeks, we think we should give it what we're seeing as a result. And then we remind them that we're monitoring things very carefully for them. And if we notice that things are really just not working, then we have those proactive conversations about, we're making our best efforts here. This is why we think this is maybe not performing as well as it could. And here's what we would like to do for you to help you, achieve your goals, but maybe change that service a little bit.
Awesome. Awesome. Sounds good. So I find with the reporting, I like how you said, okay, even if it's not performing, be transparent about it, right?
Absolutely.
That's really key because a lot of marketers, I think a common phrase is like, we have to test things out. And even
Yes.
if it's not performing, when you tell them, if you're working with marketers, they understand, you're testing things out and we will learn from that for all future campaigns. So, um,
Yes.
all right. Well, I wanted to open the floor a little bit to some questions. So just for everyone in the audience, in your GoToMeeting control panel, there is a questions module on the right. So please go ahead and feel free to, we have about 10 minutes left here. So feel free to, for Q&A, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in. So as we do that, I just wanted to maybe talk a little bit about the Jelly Academy course again, and curious to hear, you've mentioned some good points and topics from us today. I'm curious to hear, how would the course elaborate on some of the things that you've talked about today as well?
Yes. So the course it's built for account managers or project managers who are working either agency side or brand side marketing. And it's just teaching them the intricacies of managing marketing clients, projects, internal teams. And also it's a self-paced course. There are 4 modules to it, and it's a virtual course, so you can learn it in your own time. And it really just breaks down the different intricacies of and ways of dealing with those marketing clients, benefiting from the experience that we've had, potential situations that you might come up with, pardon me, getting tongue-tied, that you might face within your internal teams, and also even working with vendors. It goes into that as well. So sometimes, of course, your agency or your brand might not have people in-house to do absolutely all the aspects of marketing. So you might be bringing in a videographer or maybe some influencers, or you are paying for a business wire to get a press release out for a client. So it covers more of that as well.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So we do have our first question. This is from Victoria. So the question is, can you elaborate on your onboarding process for establishing expectations?
Sure. So when I have my first call with a client, we have our kickoff call. We schedule that, and then we get typically on Zoom with them, sometimes in person if we're able to. And then we go through just confirming with them. So I'll always say to them, of course, I've done my research, I've had my conversation with whichever partner it was who brought the client into us. So I know a bit about who you are, but I'd love to hear more directly from you about your business, because of course it's always different when you're hearing from the person that's actually there. And then I want to hear from them also about their marketing goals, what they're thinking. Sometimes they have set services in mind. Sometimes they're curious about what they want to explore. And so we talk about that. I let them know how we work so that they'll be getting things like an email inviting them to a Basecamp project, that if there are things that I need from them, like access to their Google Analytics or something, that I will put them a little task or a note in Basecamp and say, I need analytics access. Here's a list of instructions of how to get that to me. Or I need logins for your social media accounts. Can you please pop them into this thread? So they know that they're going to be getting those messages as well. We let them know that we're going to be checking in with them weekly with a weekly roundup message and a link to their weekly KPIs, but that they are, of course, available. They're able to connect with us at any time. They don't have to wait for that weekly message to let us know if there's something that they need. We tell them how our reporting works. And we also ask them, and I think that this is one of the most important things that we do, is right away in the onboarding call, we ask them how would they consider if their work with Jelly has been a success? And what would that mean for them? So then we know kind of what they're thinking right from the start. Like, my ads will make a bunch of sales, or more people will know who my business is, or something. And so they let us know kind of right from the start what they also are really hoping to get out of our relationship together, and we talk that through.
Okay, awesome, perfect. Next question is from Lisa. Oh, I'm gonna pop it on a bigger screen here. Do you have any tips on the best way to establish process internally as an agency so everyone is on board and we're able to be consistent? Keeping the creative team on board when the processes and systems can seem, well, boring and frustrating.
Processes are not the most exciting thing in the world, right? And it's often kind of a little bit of a cognitive dissonance of like, we're a creative agency, we do fun creative projects, like don't tie up to lists of like, then I do this and then I do this. But I find it really freeing. What it does is, we know that for the little housekeeping things, or for the way that we assign things to coordinators and the way that they do them and get them back to us, that we have those set processes in place, and they cover absolutely everything. So even things like submitting expenses, or how to set up your email signature, all those little types of things. But it just kind of takes the guesswork away, of that non-creative side of working, so that it frees us up to be able to actually really dive into a client's project and come up with awesome ideas for them. Because the processes are so consistent within the team that we don't have to waste any time saying, how come you did this like this and we didn't get this? With the things that are kind of the meat or the housekeeping stuff is always consistent.
Right. So by keeping the housekeeping consistent, then it saves time for them to actually do more creative work.
Yes, yeah, and instead of, spending tons of time talking about the less exciting things, you can just, follow A, B, and C and get them done, and then let's talk about the fun stuff. And we even have all of our processes recorded in a binder. So we have it's online, but we still call it the binder, and it's the SOP binder, the standard operating procedures. And it covers absolutely everything for working at Jelly. So, alarm codes and how to submit forms and what to do if you're going on a vacation so that, somebody else in your team knows what's going on with your clients and your client doesn't experience disruption in service, all those kinds of things. And then we also have client-facing SOPs as well. So we have a list, and so whenever a new client starts with us, they get a few attachments, and it'll be how to give us access to their Google Ads, to their Facebook page, to their, whatever the case may be, the back end of their website. That they have these walkthroughs that even if they've never had to do this before, they can typically just follow along with a sheet and say, okay, I'm going to click here and I'm going to add Jelly to this, and now they've got access to my stuff.
Awesome. All right, processes. So have them, they'll save you more time so they can actually do more creative stuff.
Yeah, okay. Exactly.
And even I think the ta-da is a good, part of making it fun as a way to make processes fun for you. Okay, so
pause or even in the binder.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we are at the end of the hour. So thank you so much, Danielle. I really appreciate your time today to join us. It's been a pleasure hosting yourself. And for everyone in the audience, so as mentioned, this is recorded. We will be sharing the recording as well as the slide deck. The slide deck had some links to some of the onboarding processes and suggestions that Danielle included. So you'll be able to take a deeper look into those as well. But once again, if you would like to learn more, there is a course at Jelly Academy for the account management, where Danielle is one of the instructors. We do have a promo code. Let me go in. So there is a promo code for you to get a $500 discount on the course as well. So please, that is something just through this webinar. So hopefully you will be able to take advantage of. But thank you everyone for your time today. Thank you, Danielle. And hopefully we'll see you all again in another time.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. And thanks everybody. I appreciate your time.
Have a good day, everyone.
Have a great day.